You ever get that feeling deep in your gut that someone isn't telling you the whole story? It's a problem as old as time. But centuries ago, the legendary strategist Chanakya created a system for seeing right through deception. And today, we're going to dive right into it.
This, right here, is the heart of Chanakya's whole philosophy. A lie isn't just some random made-up story. No, it's a deliberate choice to twist a truth that the speaker already knows. And that conscious act, that choice, well, that's exactly where the cracks start to show. Okay, so how do we actually learn to see those cracks? How can we spot the difference between the real story and the one someone's trying to sell us? To figure that out, let's start with a really important lesson between a teacher and his most famous student.
So, picture this. We're in ancient India. The brilliant teacher Chanakya is getting his student, Chandragupta, ready to build an entire empire. The stakes couldn't be higher, and in this world, trust is everything.
Chandragupta walks in and says, "Everything's fine, the war plans are going great." But his body is telling a completely different story. You know that smile that doesn't quite reach the eyes? A little tremor in his voice? He's got this restless energy. His words are saying one thing, but his body is screaming another. And Chanakya, being Chanakya, sees it instantly. He doesn't get angry, he just calmly calls him out. Of course, Chandragupta is totally stunned. "How did you know?" he asks. "You have to teach me how to do that." Chanakya agrees, but he doesn't start with a rule. He starts with a story.
And the story he tells about a merchant named Dharmadut is this perfect little parable about how lies work, and more importantly, how the truth always finds a way out.
You see, this merchant, Dharmadut, had built his entire business on trust. He was known for selling the absolute purest ghee, clarified butter, in the whole region. That reputation for honesty was his most valuable asset, and it made him successful.
But then, greed started to creep in. He figured, what if I just mix in a little cheap oil? So he did, and guess what? His profits went through the roof. At first, nobody noticed. The small lie was working, and with every sale, he got a little bolder.
But over time, people started to notice. The ghee just didn't taste right. Some kids even got sick. But by now, Dharmadut was rich and powerful, and nobody dared to call him out. The whole community knew something was wrong, but their silence let the lie get bigger and bigger.
And then a wise sadhu, a holy man, came to town. He bought the ghee and knew right away something was off. So, the next morning, he called the whole village to the temple. He didn't make a speech, he just lit a lamp using Dharmadut's ghee, and instead of a clean, bright flame, it sputtered and let out this thick, black, stinking smoke. The lie was literally hanging in the air for everyone to see, exposed by one simple, undeniable test.
So after telling the story, Chanakya explains the real meaning to Chandragupta. This wasn't just about some bad ghee. Oh no, this was a lesson about the basic laws of truth and lies.
This story teaches three huge lessons. First, like that black smoke, the truth will always find a way to get out. You can't hide it forever. Second, honesty is your greatest asset, and it's so easy to destroy for a little short-term gain. Dharmadut lost everything. And finally, it only takes one person who's paying attention, like the sadhu, to wake up an entire community to a truth they already felt in their gut.
So with that big idea established, Chanakya gets practical. He gives Chandragupta a toolkit, 7 powerful rules to become that person who pays attention, who can see the truth.
These 7 rules are the pillars of his method. They guide you step by step from just watching someone on the outside all the way to listening to your own gut feeling on the inside. So let's break them down.
Rule number 1 is the most obvious one. When the mouth is telling a lie, the body is often screaming the truth. Your job is simply to spot the difference between what they're saying and what their body is doing.
All of these signs point to one thing: stress. Lying is hard work for the brain. It's trying to invent a story, suppress the truth, and act normal all at once. That creates a ton of nervous energy that has to leak out somewhere, as fidgeting, shifting feet, or those self-soothing gestures like touching the face or neck.
All right, rule 2 builds right on top of the first one. After you've used your eyes, it's time to really use your ears. A lie doesn't just look different, it often sounds different, because our vocal cords are super sensitive to psychological stress. Think about it. When you're telling the truth, speech just flows, but a liar's brain is juggling way too much.
That heavy mental load leads to those hesitations, the ums and uhs, sudden changes in pitch, or stalling tactics, like repeating your question back to you just to buy a few extra seconds to think.
Now for Rule 3, which is all about logic. The truth is simple and consistent, but a lie is a fragile construction like a house of cards, and it's full of weak spots.
So here's the game. You have to listen over time. A liar can forget the little details of the story they invented. If you ask the same question in a few different ways, you can often catch them in a contradiction. A truthful person just has to remember what happened. A liar has to perfectly remember what they made up.
These next 3 rules are like powerful stress tests for any story. For Rule 4, check the emotional depth. Fake emotions often feel hollow or way over the top because they're being performed, not actually felt. Rule 5 is to apply time pressure. A liar needs time to think, so asking questions quickly can make their story totally fall apart. And for Rule 6, watch out for way too much detail. Liars often overcompensate with a flood of useless information, hoping that if they talk enough, you'll think they sound credible.
And now, we get to the final lesson. And honestly, this might just be the most important one. After you've watched, and you've listened, and you've analyzed, Chanakya says there's one more thing to listen to: yourself.
He called it Antarman, your inner voice, your gut feeling. Now this isn't magic, it's your subconscious mind doing what it does best, processing thousands of tiny data points at once. It takes the shifty eyes, the weird tone of voice, the flaw in the story, it puts them all together and sends up a red flag that says, hey, something here is not right. Chanakya's final lesson is to learn to trust that feeling.
In the end, Chanakya's wisdom isn't about making us paranoid or cynical. It's about making us more aware. Both truth and lies leave a trail of clues. So the real question he leaves us with is this: now that you know what to look for, are you going to see them?